on Air. This is Sanya on Air. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome to an all-new season of Sanya on Air, where the big OGs are connected to the little OGs. I'm so excited to be back in the studio. Did you miss me? I know you did, because sometimes I miss myself. This is an all-new season, an exciting season of Sanya on Air. Dope content, but all new celebrity interviews. I just want to give a huge shout out to my new home, as you can see, S.STREET Media, who's welcomed Sanya on Air with open arms. Now be sure to subscribe to Sanya on Air streaming platforms on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, and YouTube for all of my celebrity dope interviews. Now, starting off this new season, I have two amazing celebrity interviews. But you know what? Sometimes in live podcasting, live radio, guess what happens? Guests are late. So joining me later on in the show, I have none other than Grammy-nominated rap icon, Yo-Yo. I know you remember Yo-Yo. This is where the big OGs have to connect to the little OGs. You can't play with my Yo-Yo. Yo, don't try to play me out. Don't try to play me out. Who doesn't remember that song? But joining me in just a few moments, he said he's 5 minutes away. I just got the text, so he's going to be jumping right on into this live show. I have Marquand Smith. Now, this is what's so amazing. You know, just dealing with this all new celebrity space and entertainment, radio, television, film. What we're finding out in this whole space of melanin dopeness, we're always trying to create this new space, trying to put seats at the table, trying to break down doors to enter into the room. Well, Marquand has done this because he is the executive producer of The Godfather of Harlem. I don't know if you've seen this docuseries on Epix. I didn't even have Epix if it wasn't for this all new docuseries. It's so amazing. It explores the life of mob gangster, drug dealer, Bumpy Johnson. But the connection that they're making is the connection between crime life and the civil rights movement. You'll see Malcolm X in this docuseries. So it just really gave me a different optics on the life of Bumpy Johnson growing up in Harlem. I'm from New York City. Shout out to all, people from New York City, especially from Brooklyn, because we do it different in Brooklyn. But you have to get this series. Now, I'm not going to tell you how I got Epix because I don't have it a part of my cable subscription, but I do have my Fire Stick. Shout out to all the people who watch all of the new movies, all of these cable shows on Fire Stick. But I'm telling you, please make sure that you catch up on The Godfather of Harlem. The season is over, and when he joins us, I'm hoping that he is going to give us the great news that it's been renewed for a season 2. This content, I'm telling you, this is what we need to see. It gave me everything that I needed. It came on every Sunday. And I'm telling you, the first thing that I did every Sunday, well, first, I praise God because I wasn't, always making it to church. So, I wanted to make sure that I got Jesus in my life. But then after that, I made sure that I watched The Godfather of Harlem. And I didn't even do it by myself. Once again, Sanya on Air, the celebrity brand, but also the mother that I am. I wanted to connect the big OGs to the little OGs. So I made sure that my daughter, who's 24, sat down with me every single Sunday to watch The Godfather of Harlem. And we kind of dissected what we saw, what we heard. We did some research. We had conversations. This is what you need to do. This is how you connect the big OGs to the little OGs. But then just, infusing Yo-Yo into this conversation When I tell you I am such a fan, every celebrity that I will bring to you on Sanya on air, I'm a huge fan. So I'm sure the questions that I will ask, you'll be asking as well. So do me a favor. Whenever you go to my social media pages, make sure that you follow me on Instagram at Sanya on air. That's SANYAONAIR. For those of you who had a public school education like me, you know I got to spell it out for some folks because some people really don't even know how to spell Sanya, and that's okay. It's perfectly fine. But I'm a fan of every single celebrity that I bring to you here on Sanya on Air. So when you follow me on Instagram and you notice that I have a celebrity guest that you're a fan of, why don't you do me a favor? DM me. Don't DM me asking me to go out on a date, which some of you do. I'm not here for that. But, you know, you can ask me to ask your questions. And I'll do that for you live on the show. Now, every question may not make it live on air, you know, because some questions may not be a question that I want to ask. Some questions are a little bit inappropriate, you know, so we're going to keep it cute. We're going to keep it sexy. But don't be afraid to ask those questions because I want to make sure that my guest can feel you through these streaming platforms as well. But I'm a huge fan of Yo-Yo, and she has a new song out. It's called Out of Control. I love it. I'm always out of control when I'm listening to the song. Not even when I'm listening to the song. I'm a little bit out of control. My daughter sometimes has to kind of bring me down. You know, she gives me the dose of calmness that I need because sometimes my energy is really all over the place. Now, let's see. Marquand is here. He just asked what room we're in. So my engineer is going to run out, grab him real quick, and bring him in because I'm really excited to ask him all of these questions. And I want to make sure that I have room in this 1 hour episode to ask him all of these questions that's really been on my mind since I watched the episode. This is, you know, what I want to tell all of you. Just some words of advice. Put it out there in the universe. Put it out there in the universe, whatever you want. Because when I watched the first episode, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have him on the show. And if it wasn't for a friendly connection, you know, shout out to my homeboy Attica. I mean, he's also Emmy nominated. The Trayvon Martin story, Rise in Power. They're friends in the whole acting world, this industry, and he made the connection. So that's another word of advice. You know, just expand your network because it makes the work so much easier for you to do. Hi, Marquand. Hey. Come on over. Come on. You're just going to have a seat. You're just going to jump right into this interview. How are you? Have a seat. Come on, come on. Let me give you a little hug.
Sorry, there's a lot of traffic. I'm sorry.
I understand. New York City, traffic. What can you do? You're going to come right here. This is your microphone.
All right.
I think we had headphones for Marquand. Did I?
No, these are yours.
Got the wrong headphones, Marquand. So you know this is the start of my whole new season, right?
Oh, really?
The first show.
Congratulations.
7 years.
Congratulations.
Can I get a little high five?
Absolutely.
You know, a little black love, black support. This is what we do here for the people.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited to really have a conversation. I like your outfit, by the way. I get distracted by fashion. You can tell you're from New York,
Yeah.
Harlem, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, okay. Now I know sometimes with us and black folks, I read your name really isn't Marquand, right?
No, it's Mark Anthony Smith. I was given that name Marquand from my older brother, Father MC. They used to call me Mark the Don, then it became Marquand the Don because women were attracted to me a lot when I was younger.
Oh, you was a little sexy?
Yeah.
A little sexy
I
thing,
think
you
I
still sexy? You got that sexy sauce?
Yeah, you know, I got that sweet and sour sauce.
Not the sweet and sour sauce. We're going to need 5 of those from the China. Because, sometimes they try to give you one.
Yeah.
But, you just said something. I just want to, let that resonate in the universe. Because as I was interviewing, researching who you are, I didn't even realize that your older brother is Father MC.
I just got off the phone with him, actually.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So this is what I want to do, real quick, because I danced so much to Father MC.
Are you serious?
What? Come on, I'm from from New York. I'm from Brooklyn. So this is what we do. You know, great music. But this show connects the big OGs to little OGs.
Yeah.
So I just want to play a little snippet of one of my favorite Father MC songs. So can we just do that real quick? Can we drop that real quick,
Wow,
please?
that's amazing.
Let's just get that rolling. You know, for the little OGs who really don't even have a clue. We got that together? We working on it. We working on it. You hear it? You hear it? Come on, come on, come on. Yeah.
Why girls play with my feelings? I don't know, so that's why I ask. Maybe it's true that I set myself
What?
up, but then again, it's the question I ask. I want someone for me who is straight, a kind of cutie, yes, yep, a smart me. I've been around searching for the right one.
Yeah. Oh, you know the word.
And you know what's so crazy?
What?
That BET is actually doing a mini series on Uptown Records.
Really?
Yeah, they had a big casting call yesterday, and
That's right.
yeah,
In Newark.
yeah, in Jersey.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And Andre flew out there. I think he's back in LA right now. But I'm so glad because it's like I don't want anybody to write my brother out of history
Right.
because he was there
Yes.
in the beginning.
Yes.
He's helped a lot of artists on his platform, such as Mary J. Blige and Jodeci and Intro. You know, we worked with the greatest producers like Eddie F., Soul Convention, Corey Rooney, and Marky D. You know, so
Wow. So he's going to be a part of that.
yeah, Herbie Love,
that show.
Bub, all these guys. You know, I hope I'm not part of that production, but I'm hoping
Okay.
that they, you know, they do what's right. You know
They
what I'm
include
saying?
him.
Yeah.
So what is he up to now? I'm sure people want to know.
He's living in Tarzana, California. He's relaxing.
He has kids?
Yeah, he has children. He's out there planting tomatoes and all kinds of
I do
stuff.
that too. So
You know what I mean? Like, he's not in the limelight as much, but he still
Right,
loves music.
right.
He's still producing and trying to help people with
that's
their careers.
dope.
Yep.
That's dope. But you know, that really defined an era, especially in New York City, of sex, money, drugs, and violence. And especially for us, sometimes it's hard to escape those genres.
Yep.
But you've done it. Now,
Well-
escaping that, what was your first taste of success in this whole kind of industry, entertainment
I'll
industry?
be honest with you. I came up in Harlem, 128th and St. Nicholas.
Okay.
Then I moved out to Far Rockaway, Queens.
Yeah.
And if you know about Far Rockaway,
The
it's
Boondocks?
the last stop on the A train. You don't want to fall asleep.
You don't.
They don't even consider themselves part of Queens. You feel what I'm saying? It's just Far Rockaway is Far Rockaway, right?
Okay.
And what I did to do, like, you know, I was a knucklehead. You know, I've been through the DFY system. You know, I've been in Spofford. I've done a lot of craziness, like, you know, that I look back on my life, you know. And I read a book called Man, Child, and the Promised Land, which was one of my favorite books that in order for me to come home with a home pass or what's called a furlough, I had to read that book. So
They
when I
made you read that book, or you
yeah,
just
no,
you knew
no,
you had to?
that was something my counselor referred me or recommended me to read, and
Okay.
and that's why my love for reading was so much. And when I came back home, how to escape what was going on around me, like, you know, gunshots and all kinds of violence, was I would lock myself in a room and I would watch movies. So I would watch like Rebel Without a Cause on these mean streets, on the waterfront, Raging Bull, you know, and I started to actually soak in different directors like Martin Scorsese, Sergio Leone. One of my favorite movies is Once Upon a Time in America, and it was just a bunch of stuff I used to soak in, and that initiated the creating process of me being a creator. And my father used to work at Kentucky Fried Chicken, so they used to call him the Flour Man.
Really?
But he never hustled. That wasn't our thing, you know. I've been around hustlers, and I hustled, but he never did that.
Okay.
And he used to tell people, "I'm gonna be a rapper. I'm gonna be a rapper."
Nobody believed
And
him.
nobody believed him. But we used to hop the train to go to the new music seminar in the city to promote his music. We used to do all kinds of things just, you know, to get there, come back, share Chinese food together, and drink a 40-ounce of beer and
Right.
just talk about, though, we're trying to escape this madness. And then, you know, he linked up with Andre. He got his deal. 5 months later, you see his video on Video Music Box, treat them like they want to be treated.
Wow.
And it all changed, you know.
Wow.
And one thing about my brother, he worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken, but he was the flyest dude I knew. Like, he had every color Bally's, silk shirts. You would never knew that he had he was a chicken man. Like, he
Right.
worked at
The
chicken
flour
place.
man, like you
Yeah,
said.
the flour man, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, those little things like that just helped me elevate. And I was able to travel the world with him. And, you know, I've been to Africa. I've been, my first tour was with Tony, Candyman, Troop, High Five.
Oh, wow.
Second to None, AMG. And certain artists I'm still cool with to this day, like Raphael Sadiq. That's my big brother. Like Money
Okay.
B from Digital Underground, because I was a roadie for my brother.
Okay.
So was Tupac. Pac was a roadie for Digital Underground. Treach was a roadie for Latifah. And for your listeners that don't know what a roadie does all the grunt work. Like, I was carrying coffins. We didn't have DAT tapes or Seratos or nothing. We had big 1200 turntables that I had to carry to make sure it was good on the bus, and I had to break down stuff all by myself. But it just enlightened me to, you know, hard work. So,
Right.
you know,
And I'm sure it made
and
you
plus,
humble
yeah,
along the
and
way.
plus I got to see different individuals, meet different people, and travel the world. And the most beautiful thing is being on a tour bus and you actually seeing the country just go by, and you just like, it gives you a thought process of like, no, I'm not going back to where I left. I'm gonna keep
Right.
striving to do what I want to do.
Wow, that's an amazing story. And what I really loved about one piece of that story, your counselor had you read that book.
Yeah.
Pivotal moments.
Yeah.
You know, and unfortunately, some of us don't make it out of, you know, those
Yeah.
types of communities.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that your story is a testimony.
Yeah.
Because there's someone listening and watching this live stream saying, you know what, I may be in this current circumstance,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that that's going to be my destination.
No, that doesn't. You know, your environment doesn't subject you to the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was always an individual. I never had a plan B, because I say when you have a plan B, you're planning to fail. So why have a plan B? Stick to your plan A. Why I was like, oh, if I don't be a doctor, then I'm gonna just work for the city. Then you don't really believe in yourself. Plan A's don't always come with money or success or fame, you know. But if you stick to your goal, eventually, you know, that's just the universe. That's just
Right.
karma. It's gonna come back to you. You know what I'm saying? If you work out and you keep working out, eventually you're gonna get the body that you want. But
So
you
true.
gotta keep doing that. You can't just say, well, I'm not gonna work out today, and I'm gonna just relax and not. You know what I'm saying? So I've always believed in having a plan A, not a plan B.
A.
Yeah.
I love that. But, you know, let's fast forward this a little bit because I'm so impressed.
Yeah.
And blessings to you,
Yep.
Executive producer
Yep.
of The Godfather of Harlem on Epix.
Thank
I
you.
watched every single episode, and before you entered into this room, I was just telling my listeners, the second thing that I did every
Yeah.
Sunday morning, because the
Yeah.
first thing was I prayed, because sometimes I'm a heathen, I don't
Yeah.
go to church.
Yeah.
But I made sure that I watched it not only with myself, but with my daughter.
Oh wow.
And we would have conversations. My daughter's in the next room.
That's
You know,
beautiful.
because once again, connecting the big OGs to the little OGs.
Yeah.
So tell me, because we're always talking about, you know, Melanin Magic getting a seat at the table. And you're in the room.
Yeah.
How did you make that happen where you became the executive producer?
Well, the story goes like this. Margaret Johnson is like my godmother, and Margaret is played by an actress by the name of Demi Singleton.
So just clarify. So Margaret Johnson is
Bumpy, yeah, I'm gonna say that.
Okay.
Margaret Johnson is Bumpy Johnson's granddaughter.
Okay.
But he raised her like that was his daughter. From internal family conflicts or whatever was going on. And I used to go to Lenox Terrace 18 years ago, and I would hang out with Margaret, and I would just go check on her and make sure she was okay, because she was an older lady living there, and she didn't have a nurse. She was fiercely independent, you know. I've never saw any family members come around, and I was introduced to her through my cousin. His name is Tony Dunlop, and his mother was Margaret's best friend.
Okay.
So I would go there, and Margaret took a liking to me, where I became her godson. And she would tell me these magical stories about Harlem. She'll be like, you know, how she used to walk down 125th Street and see James Brown's name on the marquee, or walk down the street and smell fresh linen coming out of a tenement window, and hear Sam Cooke's voice coming out of transistor radio, or walking past Sugar Ray Robinson's barbershop and seeing Nat King Cole getting a haircut. And I used to be so mesmerized just sitting there for hours. It was like a history story being told to me. But she also told me about her grandfather, who's Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson. So Ellsworth Raymond Johnson, everybody knows as Bumpy, came up here from Charleston, South Carolina. He was a Geechee, and he came up here to basically find the American dream like every immigrant has. You feel what I'm saying? Because we are all immigrants, you know what I mean? And he wanted to become an attorney like Malcolm X did. But the bursar said, you know what, we don't give financial aid to colored folks. So he said, you know what, I want to make you regret what you just told me. And he took what he had by any means necessary to go out there and make it happen. But Bumpy wasn't just a gangster. He also read Nietzsche. He read Shakespeare. He was an avid historian. He was a fighter for black policy. But he was also a gangster. And this show was not about, she wanted just to show the real truth about who her grandfather was. Not the American gangster. No, Bumpy didn't die in front of 30 RCA TVs with Frank Lucas sitting behind him like an American gangster. That's Hollywood fictional. Bumpy died of congestive heart failure eating dinner in my character's arms, right? Bumpy, even though he was a gangster, he was the first African American that could sit down with the mob, like the Meyer Lanskys, the Bugsy Siegels, the Frank Costellos, the Vito Genovese. They all knew him because he was born in 1905, so he's part of that old country, that old gangsterism. You feel what I'm saying? And they liked him because he was a savage. He was a philosopher, and they were able to use him as a vessel. So I'm not trying to tell your audience that I'm telling you all the good things about him, but he also was a dope dealer. You know what I'm saying? He also destroyed the community, right? So this show is about the redemption of an older man coming home from Alcatraz in 1963 Harlem, and how he tried to change from what he was. You feel what I'm saying? So I tell people all the time, so what, you sent 1,000 kids in the neighborhood to Great Adventure, or you bought 100 book bags back to school, or you gave out turkeys. That doesn't take away from what you are. But what makes it different is when you accept what you are and say, I admit I made a mistake, and I'm trying to make a change. Because we all have flaws.
We sure do.
Yep.
We sure do. Once again, I'm just amazed by that story. So was it Margaret that wanted to get her grandfather's life story in front of the world?
Margaret I made a promise to her 18 years ago that I would go out there and pursue to take her story on her father to the masses. And honestly, it was based on a script that Margaret had called what was the name of it? It was damn, my mind went blank for a minute. Daughter of a Gangster. That was the name of it. You know what I'm saying? And I had the script, and we just went out and tried to get it done. But the script wasn't a script that was up to par.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? No, it wasn't Daughter of a Gangster. It's called Daddy's Little Girl. That's what it's called, Daddy's Little Girl. I'm sorry about that. And I went out there I made a promise that I was going to go out there and make it happen for her.
So let's talk about that, because, sometimes I believe in this space, people think that things happen overnight. So let's talk about that process. How long did it take from the thought to it actually happening and getting picked by Epix? And did you have to go through pitches through other cable networks?
I'm gonna take it from A to Z.
Okay.
It took me 18 years to get this
18 years?
18 years to get this project done. And I was working at BET at the time. I was on the lower tier of BET. Then I started doing, actually, if you remember 106 in Park, I was the individual after it came from the top tier that would put your video on high rotation, medium rotation, low rotation, right? And I was doing something I didn't want to do because I'm a creative person, and I was there just working and working and working. I'm like, but I was also pitching projects and trying to develop projects. I had a bunch of deals. So this is not my first rodeo that I've been down, and I just got tired of I was like, you know what? I'm here pitching projects, but I'm not going to be caught up in corporate America anymore, where I get up in the morning, go to work at 9 o'clock, 12:30 I go on a lunch break, and they like, yeah, why you not back at 12:35?
Right.
And then Sunday morning you get up and you regret that you got to go to work on Monday. You feel what I'm saying? That's not living to me.
Right.
So I was still working there, and I was pitching projects, and this was a passion piece of mine. You know what I mean? So it came to the fact of the matter was 2016 I got let go from BET because of the merger with Viacom.
Right.
They already merged with Viacom, but they really merged with Viacom, and everybody was let go. In 16 years, they gave me a $4,000 severance. $4,000. Yeah.
Wait,
No, I got
just $4,000.
I just got $4,000.
Wow.
And I had to figure it out. Like, I didn't want to go back to my old ways.
Right.
I didn't, I was paying my rent with my American Express, and American Express cut me off when they figured it out. And I was just like, I got to figure it out. So an individual by the name of Bernard Alexander, who's like my uncle, he managed the Fugees and 50 Cent and a whole bunch of other people. He knew I had this project, and he introduced me to my partner, which is Jim Atchison.
Okay.
And Jim, I pitched it to him on the phone. He was like, yeah, I know who Bumpy Johnson is. I'm a white boy from Boston, but I know who he is.
Right.
And, after just talking to him about it, he put me on the phone with another agent named Jay Cohen, who's over at Gersh. And Jay was like, yeah, we know who Bumpy Johnson is, and this could be a great limited series. Right? I was like, all right, cool. Then Jim called me back maybe about a week later. He's like, how would you feel about Forrest playing Bumpy Johnson? I said, huh? I hung up the phone. Called me back again. He said, how you feel? I said, man, stop playing with me.
Right.
So he came out here with his wife, met him, his wife, his son Luca, and I brought them to Lenox Terrace to meet Margaret.
Wow.
So when they came, you got two Italian folks and their son in Lenox Terrace talking to Margaret. They was like, oh,
right.
shit. So took him to Sylvia's. We had some food.
Some soul food from
Some
Sylvia's.
Sylvia. He was like, yo, no, let's make this happen. And Jim was the pinnacle with me to making this happen, because his wife actually manages Forrest Whitaker, and they became my extended family. They're the best people in the world. And we brought it to Forrest, and Forrest, fast forward, Forrest didn't commit as an actor. He committed as a producer because he needed the story to be told. It was a great idea, but who's going to write this? And after a lot of scripts were submitted to me from CAA, UTA, WME, I was reading spec scripts, and they weren't just the right ones yet, And I just went through IMDb Pro one night, and I was looking through my favorite gangster movies, and I came across this individual by the name of Chris Brancato and Paul Eckstein. I called Jim. I said, do you know Chris Brancato? He was like, yeah, Chris lives across the street from me.
Right.
He comes over to my house for Italian food every Sunday. So he pitched it to Chris. Chris wrote Hoodlum.
Okay. One of my favorite.
Yeah, so he knew about that space. And Paul was part of that process as well. And Chris, it took him about an extra 6 months to get on, but we kept pushing and pushing. Chris was like, let's go do it. And that's how it was done. That's when Forrest later said, you know what, I want to play this character.
So the network that it landed on, Epix, but did you have to pitch it to other major?
Of course, we got turned down by like 3 majors.
Okay.
If it wasn't for Michael Wright over at Epix that believed in our story and said, I don't want to be coy about this. We have money over here and we want to tell this narrative.
Right.
Because the thing about this, and I'm going to tell your audience, is that yeah, you can have a great story, but you got to have a story that cuts through the fog. And on top of that, as a person of color, that's even harder, because in Hollywood, they don't believe people of color stories sell great foreignly. So domestically, yeah, you could have that all day. But on the foreign side, if you have two partners, if you have a studio and you have a network, they have to know what their business model is and what makes sense. Even though Black Panther did well, they could still call it an anomaly. Like, okay, that was one out of a million shows that did good. So it took a visionary like Michael Wright, who believed in this, and Nancy Cotton and Tracy Underwood over at ABC, and Patrick Moran, to really come behind us and say, no, this is a dope story.
Right.
This is
right.
not. We're not trying to be in power space. We're not trying to be The Wire. You know,
Yes,
we're
a whole
telling
lane by
we're
itself.
telling real stories.
Yeah.
And like you said, how your daughter watched it, I bet you she's on Wikipedia looking up
She
who
did.
Adam Clayton Powell is,
Yeah.
who Bumpy Johnson is, who Malcolm X was, because these are all real characters.
Right.
But I don't call it entertainment. I call it edutainment.
Yes.
Like we're educating and
it was.
entertaining at the same
Because
time.
she did so much research. And
Yeah.
she came back to me and said, Mom, did you know this? And I'm just
But-
like, wow,
but-
I didn't even know that.
But see, that shows you, because if my pain and my progression for 18 years was able to spark
Yeah.
someone's mind to actually
Yeah.
go do that, I felt that I did my job.
It even made me get epics, and I didn't even have that
Yeah.
as a cable
Yeah,
subscriber,
yeah.
you know, so it did what it was supposed to do. Now, we have to wrap up this conversation.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But will it be renewed for another season?
You'll be hearing an announcement very soon on our
Very
faith.
soon?
On our faith, you know what I'm saying? We're in a good space.
Yeah.
We're in a good space, but one thing I learned in this business is to manage your expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to say yes,
Okay.
but I could say we're in a good space.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. So what's next for you?
Oh, I'm working on I have a couple of projects. I'm working with Larima Davis on her father's project, Larry Davis, features on the Bronx.
Right.
He was supposed to be assassinated by a bunch of dirty cops in 1989.
Yeah,
and
just,
he fought
just a
back.
brief story, because a part of his life, he hid out in an apartment in the projects that I grew up in.
Wow,
Brooklyn.
that's
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, and the police had barricaded the entire.
Yeah.
Can you answer this, please? They barricaded the entire neighborhood.
Yeah.
A big shootout had ensued, so I'm very familiar with that story.
So yeah, I got the Larry Davis project I'm working on, and I'm in negotiations right now with two entities. I'm also working on a Suge Knight story with Suge.
Really?
Yeah, I've been talking to Suge. I'm working with his fiance.
Nice.
I'm working on a project with a guy from Oakland that Obama gave clemency to. His name is Darryl Reed. I have an animation I'm working on. Maybe with Reverend Run. We're in the talks right now. So yeah, I'm in a good space. Just being creative.
I love it. And in a good space, continuing to be creative with edutainment. And
Edutainment.
that's what I love that word right there. And I'm going to continue using it, because we're always talking about, we don't want to be seen as people of color, always just being slavery movies, which is important. Which is important, don't get me wrong, but I'm glad that you are just adding sustenance to the genre of our narrative. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I was coming to support you, even though I was in traffic and took $100
Thank
Uber out here.
Oh, you took an Uber?
Yeah.
So we got to meet up one day, and I'll treat you to dinner. How does that
It's
sound?
all great.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
You get back with that $100 Uber.
Yeah. All right.
you headed back up to Harlem?
Yeah, I'm going to Midtown right now. Yeah.
Got you.
Okay.
I know BET is having a private screening tonight. They're airing a film at 8:00, so I'll be at the 4040 tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I might shoot through there.
Yeah, that'll be amazing. It starts at the Champagne Toast, 7:45.
Yeah.
The screening starts at 8. So if you want, just come on by.
I definitely
All
will.
right. Thanks a lot, Marquand.
Thank you.
I'll speak to you, text you, call you later on. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
So there you have it. Let me just watch you walk out. You know. That's what we ladies do, but I definitely love the whole get up. Amazing. I appreciate you too. Just amazing story. Just joining us. We're gonna have Yo-Yo really soon in the next couple of minutes. Just another icon in the building, just joining this space of Sanya O'Neal. Like I told you, this is the beginning of my 7th year doing this whole celebrity. I don't call them interviews. I want to refer to them as conversations. And I am a huge fan, thank you so much, Marquand, of what she does, what she's bringing to the table. Women empowerment. I know that you've seen her on the most recent season of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. And I love what she added to the genre of reality television. Unfortunately, there's a conversation that resonates among us about reality television just being ratchet television. And I was so happy to see this queen just step into this space as a mentor and not losing who she is, because she stepped on the scene in the 90s, in a space where it was just kind of defying. those sexually explicit language that kind of created women to be very, very sexual and sexually active. And, as a teen told me the other day, she asked me, how often did you bust it open when you were in high school? And I was just like, what? So that music that Yo-Yo gave us in the 90s and her most recent song, Out of Control, I'm glad that she stayed true to herself. And without any further ado, we have Yo-Yo on the phone. Yo-Yo, how are you? Just give me 1 second. Can you hear me?
Hello, how are you?
How are you? Oh my gosh, you have no idea how I am smiling from ear to ear right now. Thank you for blessing this space.
Well, happy Saturday. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. We're just going to get right into this conversation because my listeners, since I posted that you were going to be joining the show, they have been waiting and holding their breaths. Now, I remember when you stepped on the scene in 1990 on Ice Cube's America's Most Wanted. And then after that, you released albums that promoted female empowerment, that denounced sexism in hip hop music when gangster rap was at an all-time high. You were still a teenager. What made you want to create music that kind of defied what was being promoted on the West Coast and unfortunately on the East Coast as well? What made you want to do that?
When I first came out, I'd already been rapping. I've been rapping since I was in junior high school. So it's like the 86. And, I was just I was a fan of entertainment. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to just be a black girl on television. Just watching television and wanting to see myself. Mm-hmm. So before I wanted to do music, I just wanted to be a black girl scene. And so when hip hop came out, it was something that, I worked myself to do. I never thought I'd be famous doing it.
Wow. So you just did it for the love of music and not for the love of money.
I did it. I did it for the voice of women. Ice Cube, NWA, it was a lot of songs, A Bitch is a Bitch, right. I Ain't the One. More so of just a girl wanting the guy's money, a girl used as a sex object. And so my lyrics were always, who you call it a bitch type of rap.
Yeah. I know that we received it here on the East Coast, me growing up in the 90s. My friends and I, we danced to it, we vibed to it. Was the music industry as receptive to it, even though the people were?
I'm sorry?
Was the music industry, the record executives, were they receptive to your type of music that empowered women, even though we did it as consumers?
I had a great reception, being brought on by Ice Cube, who had made such a wave in the music industry. People really paid attention to me when I came on the scene. Yeah. With the help of Ice Cube. Yeah. And because he respected me so much, the music that we put out together had such a Bonnie and Clyde type of environment. Yeah. It just made people take a listen. And that's all, when I first started, let me just be clear. Okay. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea that my voice even made a difference. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize that I was speaking for so many women. I later learned who I was, and that's how my journey began, when I realized who I was.
Well, you helped a lot of women. I know for me, as a young girl back then, you helped me kind of define who I was at that time. And just growing up in New York City around that era where it was defined by sex, drugs, money, and violence, I'm going to be real about it. We kind of looked at the drug dealers, as the epitome of what a man should be. And when your music came out, your music, Queen Latifah, Salt and Pepper, it gave me a different optics to say, you know what, there's a life outside of, what the men are telling girls that they should be. So talking about, Queen Latifah and Salt and Pepper, who in the music industry, female rappers, became your friends?
Well, of course, I looked up to Queen Latifah, Salt and Pepper. I looked up to Sequence. I looked up to Tina Marie. Yeah. I looked up to just artists. I looked up to Run DMC, LL Cool J, even though Cameo is not a big thing of hip hop, I even loved, Word Up.
Yeah.
It was almost like, he was rapping those lyrics. I mean, I loved Cameo. I just love the music. I grew up in a musical family. My house was always the party house. Mama Mia with the spicy meatballs. Who's my mom?
Your
She
mother
was
needs her
always
own
having a
show, by
party.
the way. I've seen her on Instagram.
Hey,
Your mother has a
hey.
personality when I tell you.
Imagine growing up in that house
Oh
where the
my
party
gosh.
was all night and you get cussed out in the morning to come and wash these
Sounds
damn
like my
dishes.
mother, so that's how I can relate. For
To get
real.
up and come wash these damn dishes.
Yes.
That's what the house. And I would get up in the morning like I didn't make none of these damn dishes.
Right.
Um, but um, but that's the kind of environment I grew up in. I think a lot of the women who inspired me, who later became my friends, was Queen Latifah. We weren't as close as MC Light and I are,
Okay.
but we grew up together, so we became sisters. I mean, we hung out. I knew their mother. I knew Queen Latifah's brother before he passed away. We would be at each other's houses. I mean, it was just that type of thing. When Missy Elliott came out, she was the first artist who ever embraced me as someone who have paved the way for women. And I always like to give credit to Missy Elliott because she was so humble. She came to my video shoot. She brought flowers. She brought me this
Nice.
beautiful this vase that I kept for so long. She was just the one who came over to my house. She bought my kids gifts. She wanted to be a part, and I love her for that. Just women in the industry. I mean, I'm now great friends with Foxy Brown.
Nice.
I'm great friends with a lot of MCs. Me, You Fresh, Rhapsody. There's a lot of women, who hasn't made a name for themselves that I've connected myself with. And only because I knew that's what I needed. I just needed some connection.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't competing against you. That because I'm fast and I'm wild and, and I might shake my ass, crazy, or I might say some wild shit, doesn't mean that, that it's against you. Or,
Right.
So the fact that we can start getting women just to recognize each other without dissing each other was a big thing for me.
Yeah.
Because every time I would do an interview, it was always the women they would challenge me against. So what do you think about so-and-so?
Right.
And what do you think about so-and-so? Which one woman in hip-hop don't you like? And, and it was almost like, ask me about some dudes.
Right.
Like, which dudes I don't like in
Yeah,
hip-hop.
yeah.
I mean, I don't want to keep going against women. I don't want to keep competing against women. It's not enough of us out here to compete against each other.
Yeah, there's enough, seats at the table, enough food on the table for everybody to eat. And you don't only just talk about it, you're definitely about that life. And we saw that on the seasons of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, where you aligned yourself with some emerging female artists and also a male artist on your latest single, Out of Control. What made you once again, and I know that you've kind of alluded to it, you just want to give others an opportunity because, somebody gave you an opportunity, but what type of response did you receive when you released Out of Control, knowing that you had emerging artists on the track as well?
It was all love. It was a lot of fear going into it because, because I've learned so much, and that's the only thing about learning so much. You can get like caught up in all of this. You can get caught up in it. You can get caught up in, I don't want to do that. Maybe I'm too big for that, or maybe I'm too grown for that. Maybe I shouldn't do. You can get caught up in a lot of those different things. But I think the work that I've been doing in the schools and working with kids and in my community. When you hear people talk about coming full circle, I think me coming full circle, and the only way I could have come full circle was through the youth, through the kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was no way I can touch new ground unless I stepped on it. And that's the same thing of me being in Love and Hip Hop. People say, "Why would you do Love and Hip Hop?" I mean, that's the only way I can touch new ground.
True.
I mean, when I came out, people hated hip hop. They was like, what is this music? What is this? What is this? How long is it here to stay? Do you feel you're responsible? That's how I feel now when people ask me, why would I do Love and Hip Hop? It's like, shit, it's hip hop.
Right. It's hip hop, and hip hop definitely defines a culture and is not going anywhere.
And we have to stay connected to everybody. You know what I mean? I mean, it's the Connect Gang, bing, bing, bang. You got to stay connected.
So true, so true. Now let's just kind of, rewind a little bit because we're talking about the current state of hip hop, the past state of hip hop. I believe it was in 1994 when you testified again, in front of the Judiciary Committee because they wanted
Yes.
to put
In front of Congress.
yeah,
Yes.
they wanted to put labels on rap music.
Yeah.
Now, talking
Yeah.
about back then and connecting it to today's music, if that conversation still surfaced, would you still be on the same side and still have the same opinion that this current state of rap music should not have labels on it or ratings?
Yeah, we need labels on this shit.
I feel you. I feel you on that one.
Yeah,
I know.
when you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
For me, this new generation is just,
It's too much.
We got a lot of talented artists, but remember, a lot of 80s babies was crack babies.
Yes. Yes.
You got a lot of kids growing up with no mamas. Nowadays, the mamas are the kids.
Right.
You hear a lot of kids saying they taking care of their mamas. I mean,
Yeah.
you're supposed to do that when your mama's like 70, 80 and retired.
Right.
But, in the black community, it's a lot different because you have so many young kids that, that
Yeah.
their mama was a part of their drug game, crack
True.
game.
True. And
You know what I mean?
I even found like back then, the lyrics, we were selling drugs back then. Nowadays,
you know what?
they're using.
Well, you know what? No, but it's nothing is controlled. It's out of control.
Yeah. Shout out to your new song.
When nothing is controlled, you gotta have even the older I grow, I realize certain things. I gave my kids way too much space than I should have given them. I should have beat their ass a long time ago and set more boundaries.
Me too, girl. Don't feel bad about that one. I almost beat my daughter ass this morning. Her mouth got a little bit too slick. And she's 24.
I should have set way more boundaries, but I thought the boundaries that my mother set was way too strict.
Right.
And here I go stretching the boundaries.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then they took all of this stuff out of school, religion, and you know what I mean?
You can't even say Merry Christmas in school anymore. They're like, oh, that's too religious
They
right
want you to
now.
say Happy Holidays.
Yes. Crazy. It's crazy. But with this whole current space of hip hop and a lot of young artists dying, we just had Juice WRLD die, last week. Rest in peace to him. Have you ever been in a space growing up through the culture of hip hop where you either used drugs and had to get off of it or been pressured to use drugs?
No. When I grew up, all my homeboys were dying. Yeah, my whole community was dying. It was a gang war here in Los Angeles. In the community that I grew up in, everybody that I grew up in was dying. I mean, I don't have any homeboys that I grew up with.
Oh, wow.
And, they're all buried or serving life in prison.
So that was the lesson that you needed.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's different, but it's the same. It's just a different type of same.
Right.
If that makes sense. It's a different kind of same. Where you just have to be involved. It's the same thing that they need. They needed love then. They needed attention then. They needed somebody to shine the light on them and help them. They needed some conversation. They needed some testimonies and some history. And they didn't get it because when people make it, they're so afraid to tell their story. They want to sell their story, and it doesn't help our community because you make it out of your community, you fucking president.
Right. So true.
You bigger than a doctor in the community. You make it out of your hood, you gotta come back, and that's the big thing that I'm realizing, that people so afraid. Like people say, "Oh, what's up with California?" Oh, they say people from California are fake. Well, everybody who come here is fake because they're not from here. They come here and they recreate themselves, and they're not even. They're doing no justice or service to their community because they're not even in their community. They're not even nowhere around it. They're in California, being this Hollywood star, and that's just not what black culture was made of.
No, it wasn't. And it won't be made of that at any point in time. But let's just talk about your new single, Out of Control. I love it.
Out of control.
Let me tell you something. Even, when I came into the studio today, I played it again. It was my daughter's first time hearing that song, but this is the purpose of Sanya on Air. I want to connect the big OGs to little OGs. I think that the conversation is very, very important. Now, what made you reemerge with new music? You know, for most people who don't know, they think that you disappeared somewhere. You were acting, you know, here and there throughout the years. But what made you reemerge in 2019 with new music?
I know. Go, yo,
Yes.
yo,
Go, yo, yo. Go,
hey.
yo,
Go,
yo.
yo, yo, go. I know. Girl, fearless. I was, I'm so excited about this project because, first of all, it took me out of my comfort zone because, you get so caught up in politics. You get so caught up into community.
Yeah.
You create this mode for yourself, so to step out of that mode and to just be free to, spit, do whatever you want to do, whatever, it's a lot, it's a lot of bipolarness in there.
Girl, please.
It's
I
a lot
know.
of,
Me too.
what I mean?
Don't
You
feel
know what I
bad.
mean? Like I want to be free. I want to be me, but then I have these guidelines that I have set up for myself. So it's like, but out of control. It was easy. I went to the studio working with some other artists, some young artists, and them playing the song. And I was like, I like that track. I was like, can I get that one?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Picasso was like, yeah. I came home. I wrote to it. I was like, let's go to the studio and do it. He's like, all right, let's go.
Wow.
Went in the studio and did it. Next thing I know, I'm like, I want to put it out. And that was just energy. I think how they say a fish swims upstream.
Right.
That I was just in the right stream, flowing. You know what I mean? And I didn't stop myself. I didn't allow my I didn't allow nothing to stop me. And the kids love it. I sing it, and I'm proud of it. They call me every day. Somebody's calling me every day with the song, video, FaceTiming me. I like what I like.
Okay, don't make me pull up on
that,
the grass at your mama's
what's
house.
What's the drum about?
That's my favorite line.
Hey, and and people say, yo, damn near 50, talking about pulling up at somebody. Well, I'm not 50, and I'm not even close to 50. But I've been doing it so long that I get it.
Right.
But, pulling up on somebody's mama house, at the grass at your mama house can be any age.
It sure can. It sure can.
Play with a woman and see what happens.
Okay. Exactly. Exactly. Now,
she'll pull up at your homeboy's house.
Right.
How old she is. Don't try to play her out.
It has no limit for women. No limit at all.
Try to play us out.
So with this new music, let's say if record labels approached you and they wanted to sign you, would you sign to a major label, or do you think that you would continue to go the route of independently?
Yeah, no, I'm just going to go independent for the rest of this route, honey. I didn't have my money played with long enough.
I got you on that one. I'm finding a lot of artists.
My money long enough. I'm going to take what I get and go on with it.
And that's what they're learning from the big OGs, the little OGs nowadays. They're learning from your mistakes, and they're learning how to do it better, and they're securing the bag on their own terms.
We're learning how to do it. We didn't even know how to do it.
Yeah, because I heard someplace where you blew, what was it, $800,000?
Listen, I don't know how much money I've blown, but I mean, I've never really blown any money. Any money I've had, I've made it work for me, and that's how I've been successful my whole life. I've never done extraordinary things with my cash. I mean, I've bought houses, I've bought properties, I've invested. I mean, I really haven't screwed my money over. You know what I mean? I've loaned some people some money that I shouldn't have. But yeah. That I need some fucking return on. But I've never been frugal. I mean, what do you call that? Foul with my money.
Gotcha.
I've never had enough to play with. You know what I mean? Like this new generation of money is something we've never seen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's so true.
And I don't know if it's all cash flow or if it's, like this young boy who passed away with all them drugs. I'm saying you would never have caught me with drugs like that.
I know that was, that was a good decision.
Side gigs, or what the hell is going on? Right. But we didn't have it like that, and when we did get it, we wasn't putting it back in the hood, making bricks out of it, and taking over a community.
So true. So if you could give an emerging rapper one piece of advice, something that you've learned from the start of your career up until this current day, what would be that one piece of advice?
Don't fuck up your money. Don't blow your bag. That's one thing. Another thing is you got to live within your truth. Yeah. I mean, we've seen, what I can tell them is we've seen so many people blow through their money. You've watched Mike Tyson I mean, you've watched MC Hammer. You've
Yeah.
watched so many people blow through their money that don't be stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be stupid. It don't last forever. You got to do great things with your money. Don't be
True.
stupid.
And
You know what I mean? You can buying your whole mama and everybody a house. That's good, but can they keep
Yeah.
it 10 years from now?
So true. So true. And I can
Will the
understand.
revenue still flow 10 years from now? Because it's easy to put them in the house, but can they maintain it?
Right. Can they stay there?
You know?
Can they stay there?
Yeah,
And, I think
so
that
be cautious.
there should be some more financial literacy courses in school, and especially
Without
a part
question.
of when you're signing these major record labels, because we come from communities where we've never seen money like that in our lives. And when we get it, I can
Without
understand how
question.
easy it is to get caught up. But once again, when I'm talking to big OGs like you, I want to make sure that you're imparting those life lessons amongst these little OGs, that they know, okay, they
Yeah, I
made
just
those
think-
mistakes. We're not going to do that.
I just seen Cardi B give her baby daddy $500,000 cold cash. They said
Really?
cold cash, $500,000 in a refrigerator. I just don't ever want to see her broke.
Yeah, me either. Maybe he got good dick. I don't know, because I ain't giving nobody.
Hey, girl, you better $500,000. I'm damn. I don't.
That
even
must
give a
be
nigga
some
500
good
I don't
dick.
want to give a nigga 5,000.
Okay, maybe a bus pass with that. No, yeah, I ain't gonna know. But he better have his own
I
car.
I gave up 50 before, but I don't know about 500,000.
That's a lie. But that's what happens. New to the industry, because you're fresh from the hood and you're still learning how to manage your money. So we just gonna pray over Cardi B to make sure that she doesn't do that ever again. But you know
what? Listen, she hopefully it's a cycle, and I love Cardi. I love Cardi. I love Cardi B. I love who she is. I've always loved her. I love her personality.
Yes.
I can't wait to hang out with her as a little sister, because I just love who she is.
Right.
But I just think that we all make young rational decisions that if we had to look back on it and think about it, but like you said, we don't talk money.
Yeah,
it's in the Black community. It's like, listen, you fake it till you make it.
Right.
You pretend like you have it. The best thing that I could say is being real with myself. I mean, I think that not until I started being real with myself did I ever really start growing. Like, I've had great things my entire career. My kids have lived a great life their whole careers, but I tell that to my daughter. Like, I used to think she was so high that, on a scale, because of how I've placed her, that I thought that once I released myself from her, she was going to fall like a bird from the sky. You know what I mean? And I was thinking, like, damn, how can I level her out?
Right. Well, when you find
You
the
know?
answer to that, let me know, because I'm the same
my
type of mother, most definitely. But, we have to wrap up this conversation. But I need, I'm going to ask you a huge favor, Yo-Yo, because there's one thing that you've done throughout your career that resonates with me, and a mother-daughter opportunity. My daughter, she just walked into the room, and she's going to be able to experience it. She's smiling at me right now. Your appearance on Martin as Kilolo. I mean, that is like classic right there, especially when they did the talent show, and you and Shanae. Can you recite some of those lyrics for me, please? Can I ask you that?
Don't nobody know me like my homies to open up that phony. Shanae ain't halfway phony. Don't be trying to trick if you ain't rich. Shanae ain't no trick. You better have a
rap.
If you ain't got no rims on your hoopty,
Don't be trying to pull me.
Guys, just let a sister be.
You want some, but you can't get none. Don't be.
Hey, you want some? Tell your daughter I said hello.
Oh, she heard you when she says hello
Hi,
back.
daughter. Be great. Be great. Be great.
Thank you for
great,
pouring
daughter.
that into her spirit. I'm always surrounding my daughter around people who can just make her soar even higher. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your intellectual capital. Thank you for your amazing energy. And I wish you nothing but continued blessings, my queen. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Peace.
So there you have it. 2 amazing conversations, because like I said, I don't like to call them interviews at all, for the new season of Sanya on Air. Make sure that you subscribe to all of my streaming platforms on Spotify, on iTunes, on iHeartRadio, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcasts, and on on YouTube. Make sure that you also follow me on Instagram, Sanya on Air. We will be back next week with another dope conversation. I love you so much for just carving out time and allowing me to give you some positive energy, some life lessons, and some love. Thank you so much. This is Sanya on Air.